You're standing at a precipice. You can feel the edge of it right under your toes. The air is thin up here. Below you is the chasm of ending it, of finally letting go. Your fingers are raw from holding on. Your mind is a war zone of replays, a highlight reel of every argument, every tear, every moment of gut-wrenching frustration. You've written the breakup speech 1,000 times in your head. You've rehearsed the cold, quiet click of the door closing for the last time. You are exhausted. Every fiber of your being is screaming, "I can't do this anymore, I'm done." And in that moment of absolute surrender, when you are ready to let go of the rope, a strange, quiet question whispers up from the depths of the chasm. What if this exhaustion isn't the signal to quit? What if this profound, soul-crushing fatigue is actually the precursor to a breakthrough? What if the universe, in its infinite and often brutal wisdom, isn't testing your patience, but is instead testing your perception? We are taught to see struggle as a red flag. We're told that love should be easy, that the right person will feel like coming home, a peaceful harbor in a storm. And sometimes that's true. But there is a deeper, more transformative kind of connection that doesn't feel like a harbor at all. It feels like the storm itself. It feels like being forged. Think of a master blacksmith. To create a legendary sword, a blade that can withstand any battle, the raw metal must be subjected to unimaginable stress. It's plunged into a fire so hot it loses its shape, its identity. It's pulled out, glowing and vulnerable, only to be beaten, hammered, and relentlessly pounded upon. It's folded onto itself, beaten again, and then plunged into the cold shock of water. This process is violent. It is brutal. It is anything but peaceful. From the metal's perspective, it's pure torture. But the blacksmith knows this is the only way to burn out the impurities. This is the only way to create strength, resilience, and a blade of unparalleled quality. What if this person, the one causing you so much pain and confusion, isn't your enemy? What if they are the fire and the hammer? What if the universe, the grand blacksmith of your soul, is using them to forge you into the person you were always meant to become? This is not a message for those in relationships of simple convenience or casual fun. This is a message for those who feel a connection so deep, so profound, that the thought of leaving feels like a spiritual amputation, even amidst the chaos. Today, we are not going to talk about the shallow signs of affection. We are going to delve into the deep, psychological, and often unsettling signs that the universe is telling you to wait, to hold on, and to not give up on this person because the work isn't finished yet. This is the universe is telling you to wait and not give up on this person when you see these signs. Before we begin, a critical warning. This is not a permission slip to endure abuse. This is not an excuse to stay with someone who consistently belittles you, controls you, or makes you feel unsafe. We are talking about the difficult, painful, but ultimately productive process of mutual growth, not the soul-destroying cycle of abuse. The signs we will discuss require a deep level of emotional intelligence and self-honesty to discern. They are subtle, they are profound, and they are about your transformation above all else. If you are ready to look beyond the surface, to understand the hidden mechanics of your own psyche and the strange, powerful language of the universe, then let's begin. Sign number 1, the mirror effect is unbearable. The first and most powerful sign is what Carl Jung called the projection of the shadow self. In simple terms, the very thing that drives you absolutely insane about this person, the trait that you find most infuriating, most contemptible, is a direct reflection of a disowned, repressed part of yourself. This is not about surface-level annoyances. This isn't about them leaving their socks on the floor or chewing too loudly. This is about deep, fundamental aspects of their character that trigger a visceral, almost irrational reaction in you. Do you see them as weak, needy, and emotionally fragile? Do you look at them with disdain when they crumble under pressure? The universe might be screaming at you to look at your own repressed vulnerability. Perhaps you have built your entire identity, your persona, around being the strong one, the one who never asks for help, the one who handles everything. Their weakness is a terrifying mirror to the part of you that is exhausted from being strong, the part that secretly craves to be taken care of but would rather die than admit it. Your anger at them is really a misplaced anger at yourself for not allowing yourself the same grace. Let me tell you about a client of mine. Let's call him Mark. Mark was a high-powered executive, a shark in the boardroom. He was dating a woman, Sarah, an artist who was, in his words, a flake. She was perpetually late, financially disorganized, and seemed to float through life on a cloud of whimsy. He loved her creativity and her spirit, but her lack of discipline drove him to the brink of madness. He would lecture her, try to fix her, create budgets and schedules for her, all out of a desperate need to control her chaos. He came to me ready to end it. "I can't respect her," he said. "She has no drive, no ambition. It's like she's allergic to success." I asked him to stop talking about Sarah for a moment and to talk about his own life. Mark had worked relentlessly since he was a teenager. His father had been a demanding, critical man who equated rest with failure. Mark hadn't taken a real vacation in over a decade. He had ulcers. He had chronic insomnia. He had built a fortress of success, but he was a prisoner inside it. The brutal truth was this. Mark didn't hate Sarah's lack of discipline. He envied it. He was terrified by it. Her freedom to live without a rigid 5-year plan, her ability to find joy in the moment without monetizing it, poked at the very foundations of his identity. She was his shadow self in living, breathing form. She was the part of him he had to kill to please his father, the playful, creative, spontaneous boy who was told that his dreams were worthless if they didn't come with a paycheck. His desire to fix her was actually a desperate, unconscious attempt to fix himself, to kill that reflection so it would stop tormenting him. When Mark realized this, everything changed. He saw that the universe hadn't sent him a flake. It had sent him a teacher, a mirror. The relationship wasn't about him changing her. It was about her presence forcing him to integrate his own shadow, to learn that his worth wasn't tied to his productivity. So look at that person. What is the one thing you cannot stand? Their anger. Look at your own repressed rage. Their passivity. Look at your own terror of surrender. Their arrogance. Look at your own deep-seated insecurities. If the reaction is that powerful, that gut level, it's not about them. It's a sign from your unconscious mind, from the universe, that there is a critical piece of your own soul you have left in the dark. And this person has been sent to turn the light on. Walking away before you understand the reflection is like smashing the mirror because you don't like what you see. You don't solve the problem, you just rob yourself of the opportunity to heal. Sign number 2, the universe stages synchronistic interventions. You've made the decision, it's final this time. You've steeled your nerves, you've blocked out the good memories, and you are walking toward the door, phone in hand, ready to send the text that ends it all. And then something happens, something strange. The song that was playing on your first date suddenly comes on the radio. You open a book at random, and a line about forgiveness and second chances jumps off the page. You bump into an old friend you haven't seen in years, and they start telling you a story about how they almost left their now happy spouse during a difficult time. This is synchronicity, a term coined by Carl Jung to describe meaningful coincidences, events that seem to be connected by meaning rather than by cause and effect. Your rational mind, your ego, will immediately dismiss this. It's just a coincidence, it will say. You're just looking for a sign, so you're seeing them everywhere. This is confirmation bias. And your ego is partially right, but it's missing the deeper truth. The universe, your unconscious mind, doesn't speak in spreadsheets and logical arguments. It speaks in symbols, in dreams, in metaphors, and in these strange, meaningful coincidences. When your conscious mind is locked into a rigid, singular path, I must leave. This is the only solution. Your deeper wisdom, the part of you that sees the bigger picture, will stage an intervention. It will try to get your attention in the only way it can, by breaking the laws of probability. Let's be clear, this is not about them sending you a manipulative text at the last second. This is not about them suddenly showing up with flowers. Those are actions from their ego. We are talking about interventions from a source outside the two of you. Consider a woman named Clara. She was in a tumultuous relationship with a man who was emotionally distant. He was a good man, but he was locked in a vault of his own trauma. Clara had tried everything: patience, therapy, ultimatums. She was drained. One Tuesday afternoon, she packed a bag. She wrote the letter. This was it. As she was driving to a friend's house, her final act of departure, she got stuck in a bizarre traffic jam on a road that was never busy. Annoyed, she looked out her window and saw what was causing the delay. A pair of large, majestic cranes were standing in the middle of the road, refusing to move. In many cultures, cranes are a powerful symbol of longevity, fidelity, and good fortune. They are known to mate for life. Clara sat there, staring at these two birds, and burst into tears. It was so absurd, so out of place, that it shattered her resolve. It felt like a message, not a command to stay and suffer, but a nudge to pause, to reconsider, not the relationship as it was, but the potential it held. She went home. She didn't unpack her bag, but she put the letter away. That night, her partner, for the first time, opened up about a deep childhood wound he had never spoken of before. It wasn't a magic fix, but it was a crack in the vault. The synchronistic intervention of the cranes didn't solve the problem, but it bought them the time they needed for a breakthrough to occur. When you are on the verge of giving up, pay attention to the world around you. Is the universe throwing up roadblocks? Is it sending you messengers in the form of songs, animals, conversations? Don't be so quick to dismiss it as wishful thinking. Your unconscious mind is far older and wiser than your rational ego. When it stages an intervention, it's often a sign that there is a piece of the puzzle you are not seeing, a deeper layer to the story that is about to unfold. The universe is asking you to wait. Not to be passive, but to be present and aware, because a critical plot twist is coming. Sign number 3, they see your persona, but challenge your true self. We all wear a mask. Jung called it the persona. It's the curated version of ourselves that we present to the world. The competent professional, the happy-go-lucky friend, the strong, independent woman, the tough, unemotional man. The persona is a necessary tool for navigating society, but it is not who we truly are. The ultimate goal of our psychological development, a process Jung called individuation, is to integrate all parts of ourselves, the light and the shadow, the persona and the raw, vulnerable self, into a cohesive whole. A partner who is bad for you will either worship your persona or attack it. But a partner sent by the universe for your growth does something far more confusing and painful. They seem to ignore your persona, but they constantly and often unconsciously poke at your hidden, true self. This feels like an attack. It feels like they don't see you, like they don't appreciate all the effort you put into being strong or put together. But what's really happening is that their soul is bypassing your carefully constructed mask and speaking directly to the vulnerable, authentic self you keep locked away. Let's take the example of Alina. Alina's persona was the capable woman. She was the one everyone relied on. At work, she was the top performer. In her family, she solved every crisis. With her friends, she was the unshakable rock. She prided herself on being low maintenance and self-sufficient. She met a man, David, who seemed to be unimpressed by all of it. Her promotions at work, her flawless management of her life, he'd just nod. But he would do things that drove her crazy. He would ask her, "But how do you feel about that?" when she was trying to be stoic. He would get frustrated when she would say, "I'm fine," calling her out on it. He would challenge her decisions, not to be controlling, but asking questions that probed at the why behind her relentless drive. To Alina, this felt like profound disrespect. "Why can't he just see how hard I'm working?" she would complain. "Why does he always have to pick at me?" She felt constantly criticized. She wanted to leave him for someone who would just appreciate her for the strong, capable woman she was. The breakthrough came when she realized David wasn't attacking her. He was trying to reach her. He wasn't interested in her persona, the capable woman. He was in love with Alina, the woman underneath who was terrified of not being perfect, who was exhausted from carrying everyone's burdens, and who had completely disowned her own needs. His seemingly critical questions were unconscious invitations for her to take off the mask and just be herself. He was the only person in her life who wasn't buying her act. His presence was forcing her into the painful, terrifying, but necessary work of individuation. He was challenging her to integrate her vulnerability, to admit she wasn't fine, to learn that it was okay to need someone. It was the hardest work of her life, and she resented him for it for years. But she eventually understood that he was the catalyst for her own liberation from the prison of her persona. So if you are with someone who seems to ignore your greatest strengths, the very things the rest of the world applauds, and instead seems to have an uncanny ability to find the chinks in your armor, to trigger your deepest insecurities, to call out the very things you try to hide, pause. This is a profoundly significant sign. They are not trying to hurt you. Their soul is trying to help you. The universe has sent you someone who refuses to fall in love with your mask, forcing you to finally fall in love with your own true face. Sign number 4, the arguments are cyclical, but the resolution evolves. Here's a brutal truth that most relationship advice ignores. All long-term, deep relationships have recurring arguments. The idea that you will find someone with whom you never fight about the same thing twice is a childish fantasy. We are creatures of habit and trauma. We have core wounds, and our partners will inevitably trigger them over and over again. The same argument about money or intimacy or family or freedom will likely surface for the rest of your lives together. Seeing a recurring argument as a sign to leave is a rookie mistake. It's focusing on the wrong data point. The real sign, the one the universe wants you to see, is not in the argument itself, but in the aftermath. The key question is, does the recovery time and the resolution quality improve over time? In a toxic, dead-end relationship, the cycle is static. You have the same fight, it leads to the same screaming match or silent treatment. You spend 3 days not speaking, and then you sweep it under the rug to maintain a fragile peace until the next eruption. Nothing is ever learned. No new ground is ever gained. The cycle is a closed loop, draining your energy and eroding your connection. But in a relationship that is undergoing a deep, transformative process, the cycle evolves. In the first year, that argument might have led to a week of cold war. In the third year, it leads to a day of hurt feelings, followed by a tentative, "I'm sorry." In the fifth year, the argument happens, the emotions flare, but an hour later, one of you comes to the other and says, "Okay, that was my fear of abandonment talking, not my rational mind. Can we talk about what was really going on for you?" Do you see the difference? The trigger is the same, but the response, the collective emotional intelligence of the relationship, is growing. You are together learning how to metabolize the conflict instead of just surviving it. You are building a new pathway. You are breaking the cycle, not by eliminating the trigger, but by changing your reaction to it. Think of it like learning a complex dance. At first, you are constantly stepping on each other's toes. It's clumsy, painful, and frustrating. You keep messing up the same move. If you quit, you'll never learn. But if you keep practicing, you start to anticipate each other's movements. You learn to recover from a misstep more quickly. Eventually, you can navigate that difficult turn with a grace and understanding that wasn't there before. The difficult move is still part of the dance, but it no longer threatens to bring the whole performance to a halt. If you can look back over the course of your relationship and honestly say that your ability to clean up the mess after a fight has improved, that you are getting better at seeing your own part in it, that you are moving from blame to understanding, even incrementally, this is an incredibly hopeful sign. The universe isn't asking for perfection, it's looking for evolution. A cyclical argument with an evolving resolution is not a sign of failure. It is the signature of two people doing the real, gritty, and profound work of learning how to truly love each other. Sign number 5, they inspire uncomfortable growth, not comfortable stagnation. We are sold a fantasy that the right partner brings us peace and comfort. And while a relationship should be a source of support, a true partner for your soul's evolution often brings something far more valuable and far more unsettling. They are a catalyst for uncomfortable growth. A toxic partner or a partner of convenience keeps you small. They drain your energy. They encourage your bad habits. They want you to stay right where you are because your stagnation is comfortable for them. Your life with them feels safe, predictable, but also dim, like a light bulb on a low-wattage dimmer switch. A growth partner, on the other hand, unsettles your world. Their very presence in your life, even and especially through conflict, forces you to expand. They challenge your limiting beliefs. They disrupt your comfortable routines. They expose your weaknesses not to mock them, but in a way that forces you to finally deal with them. You might find yourself, because of the friction in this relationship, finally signing up for therapy. You might start reading books on psychology, attachment theory, or emotional intelligence to try and understand what the hell is going on. You might pick up a new hobby or join a gym just to have an outlet for the intense energy the relationship stirs up. You might be forced to set boundaries with your family for the first time, because this partner's presence has highlighted an unhealthy dynamic you were previously blind to. This growth is rarely comfortable. It feels like being pushed off a cliff and forced to build your wings on the way down. Your ego will scream in protest. It will tell you, "This is too hard. A good relationship wouldn't make me feel this way. It shouldn't be this much work." But the universe knows that true transformation doesn't happen in a state of comfort. It happens at the edge of your capacity. This person is the grit in the oyster. The friction they create is what forces you to create the pearl. The pearl is your own expanded consciousness, your own healing, your own self-improvement. Ask yourself this brutally honest question, setting aside the pain and frustration: in what ways have I grown as a person since meeting them? Am I more self-aware? Am I stronger? Have I confronted fears I had been avoiding for years? Have I learned things about myself I never knew? If the honest answer is that their presence in your life, for all its difficulty, has been a powerful engine for your personal development, then you are not in a toxic relationship. You are in a crucible. It's a sacred alchemical container for your transformation. A comfortable partner might give you a pleasant life. A growth partner gives you a powerful one. The universe doesn't send soulmates to make us comfortable. It sends them to make us conscious. And that process is almost never easy. Sign number 6, you grieve the potential more than the present. This is perhaps the most subtle and profound sign of all, one that requires you to listen to the deepest, quietest part of yourself. When you seriously contemplate ending the relationship and you allow yourself to feel the grief of that choice, what are you actually grieving? In a relationship that has run its course or is truly toxic, your grief will be focused on the past. You'll grieve the good old days, the happy memories, the person they used to be in the beginning, which was likely a love-bombing phase. You'll grieve the loss of the routine, the shared friends, the life you've built. The grief is for something that is over, something you are losing from your history. It's a grief of nostalgia. But in a relationship that the universe is telling you to wait on, the grief is different. It's a grief for the future. When you imagine walking away, the deepest, most soul-crushing pain comes from the loss of the potential you see. It's an intuitive, gut-level knowing that the story isn't finished. You are grieving the man or woman you see they are becoming. You are grieving the evolved, healed version of the two of you that you can sense is possible. You are grieving a shared destiny that has not yet been fulfilled. This is not a romantic fantasy. It's not the ego's wishful thinking. It's a signal from your higher self, your intuition. It's the part of you connected to the collective unconscious that recognizes a soul contract is in play. It's the feeling that if you leave now, you are both aborting a crucial developmental process. The pain isn't "I'll miss what we had." It's "we were on the verge of creating something magnificent, and I'm giving up just before the masterpiece is complete." This feeling is often what keeps people in difficult situations, and it can be confused with trauma bonding. So you must be ruthlessly honest here. Is the potential you see grounded in any evidence at all? Is it connected to the evolving resolutions we talked about, the glimmers of growth, the moments of true connection that break through the chaos? Or is it a complete fantasy, based on nothing but a hope that they will magically change into a different person? If the grief for the future is powerful, visceral, and connected to the small but real signs of progress you are both making, pay attention. That is the universe speaking to you in the language of the soul. It's telling you that the pain of the present is the labor pain of a new future being born. And sometimes the most courageous act is not to walk away from the pain, but to breathe through it, knowing that you are midwifing the birth of something extraordinary, both in them and, most importantly, in yourself. A final brutal caveat: when the signs are a lie. I have given you 6 profound signs to look for, but I would be doing you a grave disservice if I did not arm you with the ultimate overrides. There are certain behaviors that negate all of these signs. They are the clear markers of a truly toxic or abusive dynamic, not a challenging growth opportunity. These are the non-negotiable red flags. If you see them, the universe is not telling you to wait. It is screaming at you to run. The first is contempt, not anger, not frustration. Contempt. This is the belief that you are fundamentally beneath them. It shows up as sneering, sarcasm, eye-rolling, mockery, and name-calling. Contempt is psychological poison for which there is no antidote. It is the #1 predictor of divorce, and it signals a complete lack of respect from which no relationship can recover. The second is a complete lack of accountability. This is the person who can never, ever say, "I was wrong." Every problem is your fault. Every argument is something you started. They apologize by saying, "I'm sorry you feel that way," which is not an apology but a manipulation. Without accountability, there can be no growth, no evolving resolutions, no learning. There is only a black hole of blame. The third is control. This isn't about them wanting the house to be clean. This is about them wanting to control who you see, what you wear, your access to money, your opinions. Control is not love, it is ownership. It is a desperate attempt to manage their own anxiety by caging you. If these behaviors, contempt, a chronic lack of accountability, or controlling patterns, are a consistent feature of your relationship, then the other signs are irrelevant. They are a mirage in the desert. You are not in a crucible, you are in a cage. And the only growth that can happen is the growth you will experience after you find the courage to leave. Protect your energy, honor your safety. Conclusion, the final question. We have journeyed through the subtle, often paradoxical signs that a difficult relationship may be a sacred assignment from the universe. We've seen how the unbearable mirror of the shadow self, the strange interventions of synchronicity, the challenges to our persona, the evolution of our arguments, the inspiration for uncomfortable growth, and the grief for a possible future are all powerful signals to pause and look deeper. Ultimately, this entire journey is not about them. It was never about them. It's about you. This person, with all their flaws and all their triggers, is simply the catalyst, the sandpaper, the fire, and the hammer that the universe is using for the forging of your own soul. The ultimate goal is your individuation, your wholeness, your transformation. So the question you need to stop asking is, should I stay or should I go? That's an ego question based in fear and a desire for comfort. The real question, the one your soul is begging you to ask, is this: what is this person and this situation here to teach me about myself? When you shift the question, the power shifts back to you. You are no longer a victim of circumstance, waiting for them to change. You become an active participant in your own evolution. Whether you stay for another 10 years or leave tomorrow, you can begin the real work right now. Do your shadow work. Acknowledge the parts of you they mirror. Learn to detach from your persona. Take responsibility for your side of the cyclical arguments. Embrace the uncomfortable growth they inspire. Do the work. Whether they ever do theirs is not your primary concern. Your concern is you. Because when you commit to your own transformation, one of two things will happen. Either they will be inspired to rise up and meet you on this new, higher ground of consciousness, and you will fulfill that potential you both grieve for. Or you will simply outgrow the dynamic, and leaving will no longer feel like a painful, heartbreaking decision, but a natural, peaceful, and necessary next step. The struggle will cease. The rope will fall away from your hands effortlessly. Trust that process. Trust the quiet, deep wisdom of your own unconscious mind. It knows the way. The universe is not just telling you to wait, it's telling you to wake up.